You've just watched stories of brethren who have already seen the church firmly established in places outside of the Philippines. But what about those who witnessed her humble beginnings, the first weeks, months, and first years upon the Iglesia ni Cristo's arrival in the West? What were their trials and triumphs? I sat down with Brother Paul Membreri, who was the very first supervising minister abroad, to learn from his experiences in those early pioneering days.
During that time that Brother Iranio Manalo, we discussed with us about the possibility, if not the necessity, of this mission will come over to the United States of America. He said, all right, all of you prepare yourselves. It's time to go to the United States of America. I just think of the will of God, that He will not forsake His mission. Although I'm not a prophet, it will come true. And only 10 years or less, the church is very progressive already.
Brother Dave Abad was one of the first set of ministers who arrived in November 1974. He remembers the humble places ministers lived in.
We arrived in Winnipeg, Manitoba at the middle of winter, January 2nd. But we do not know that we will live in the basement of the chapel in Winnipeg. We lived there for 3 winters. In fact, some of our co-ministers live in a garage.
While I sat down with Brother Paul and Brother Dave, Brother Rod Bruno in Hawaii also chatted with another pioneering minister, Brother Jesse Macaspa, reminiscing about when he arrived in Los Angeles in 1970 and was the first minister in that area. Brother Jesse talked about the language barriers pioneering ministers faced.
Can you tell us some of the experiences and the trials that you went through in your duties being performed here abroad?
I experienced for the first time in my life to debate with an American pastor. I noticed that the American pastor was so fluent in English and he spoke so fast, and I was the exact opposite. At one time, he even asked me, "Macaspac, do you understand English, Macaspac?" So, sir, I said, "I speak little English. What about you, sir? Do you understand Kapampangan?"
Brother Eddie San Gabriel was one of the first ministers ever assigned in the United States in July 1969. He recalls instances where members experienced all types of persecutions.
We are holding our worship service in the house of Sister Marina Lobson. Our neighbor persecuted us. I advise the brethren to be patient because that's only natural, as stated in the Bible, that we will be persecuted.
Looking back, these pioneering ministers may not have had the same exact stories to tell, but one thing they all agree upon is that it's really no wonder how the church has flourished the way it has.
What can I say? But to thank God, all the success, triumphs of the church is the work of the mighty hands of God.
Because of God's fulfilling His promises, we could see the fulfillment of all what He promised to His messenger and to the Church of Christ in these last days.
This is not a work of man. We don't have any capability to make this church grow in so short a time, and it will become so worldwide and glorious.
No one could believe that a church that is started in the garage could have a house of worship like the one they have now in Washington, D.C., or the one they have now in Africa, or the one they have now in London, Germany. We are so grateful, so thankful to God because He has fulfilled His promise